Swiss technology company IQ Air, which monitors air quality in over 7,000 cities globally, consistently places Lahore at the top of its air pollution rankings. The University of Chicago, one study done over there, has estimated that the city's 11 million residents could be losing more than 7 years in average life expectancy due to the hazardous air quality. Now, Lahore is not the only city in South Asia. New Delhi, for example, in winter months is also a city that becomes heavily toxic. Its air is dangerous and hazardous. People have been suffering from respiratory diseases, persistent cough, sore throat, etc., etc. Hello and welcome back. Today, I am going to speak a bit about air pollution, especially in Pakistan's second largest city, Lahore, a city of more than 11 million residents. It's a big, big city, and it's been traditionally hailed as a city of gardens. It has beautiful monuments from the medieval era to the modern colonial era, and once a place of culture and learning and beauty, it has now emerged as an epicenter of country's severe air pollution crises. Swiss technology company IQ Air, which monitors air quality in over 7,000 cities globally, consistently places Lahore at the top of its air pollution rankings. The University of Chicago, one study done over there, has estimated that the city's 11 million residents could be losing more than 7 years in average life expectancy due to the hazardous air quality. This is really, really uh, a crisis of mega proportions, and the response to this issue of air pollution, unfortunately, is not as effective as it ought to be. Now, Lahore is not the only city in South Asia. New Delhi, for example, in winter months is also a city that becomes heavily toxic. Its air is dangerous and hazardous. And earlier, there were reports that Beijing in Asia was another heavily polluted city, though Chinese authorities have taken many measures in recent years to address this issue. But Lahore and to some extent Delhi in India are still grappling with this issue. Now, coming back to Lahore, the officials have resorted to extraordinary short term measures. For example, they've closed schools and markets in recent days. They have imposed traffic restrictions. And notably, they have deployed a cloud seeding technology uh, to sort of bring in, cloud seeding technology involves the release of salts from aircraft to induce the formation of rain droplets, a method that has faced skepticism from the scientific community regarding its effectiveness. I mean, it's artificial rain, and the chief minister of the Punjab, of course, says this is a successful experiment. It's a good media blitz strategy as well to show that something is being done in the short run. And the chief minister claimed that the subsequent rainfall after the introduction of this technology led to a temporary reduction in air pollution levels. So many thought that this was a glimmer of hope amid the kind of crisis that the city faces and its 11 million residents. But critics say that government's response is akin to applying band aid solutions without addressing the root causes of the pollution crises. Um, Lahore has witnessed rapid disappearance of its green cover, its green areas due to urban development projects such as shopping malls, highways, housing societies. Local environmental groups have claimed that the city has lost 75% of its green spaces in recent decades, contributing significantly to the current environmental predicament. Another major source is vehicular emissions. It's the inadequate public transport encourages the use of automobiles, and that itself is a major contributor to the air pollution crisis. And then there are industries within the urban areas which ought to be moved out of residential areas and city limits so that they don't contribute to this staggering levels of air pollution. um, People are frustrated. They have, media reports say that people are, many residents of the city are aware that environmental negligence has led to this serious public health crises. People have been suffering from respiratory diseases, persistent cough, sore throat, etc., etc. And children, especially, imagine young kids growing up in such an environment. It's a lifelong hazard, so to speak. And these toxic vehicle emissions and burning of seasonal crop residue. Now, this happens in the province where Lahore is located. It also happens in neighboring India, where they have put in some restrictions. But the farmers sort of burn crop residue in large quantities, and that also contributes to the air pollution. Now, powerful interest groups, as always, are a challenge, are a impediment in finding the right strategy to fix this issue. So, for example, transport and construction interests, those who sell automobiles, those who build roads, contractors, government officials, politicians. They want more and more roads, more and more flyovers, underpasses, because that's how they can show quote unquote development. So the entire development model is actually has failed. And in my, I come from Lahore. It has happened in my lifetime. It's not something that has happened in 50 years ago or 30 years ago. It has happened in the last 2 decades, especially. Now, the people who know the economy, they know that if you close supermarkets or local shops, now that also causes a stress for the traders, for merchants and consumers, and the losses. There's one estimate which says that once you close down supermarkets and shops early, it leads to a loss of $35 million, and this economic setback, therefore, is another contributor to the economic downturn. So there is a whole, I mean, it's a very complex issue. Now, the government has an environmental protection agency at the province level, at the national level. They have an environmental protection department, but sadly, they're ill equipped, under resourced to handle this sectoral crises, because it's not just one department that has to fix this issue. You have to work with the transport department, you have to work with the energy department, you have to work with the industries department, with the labor department, with the finance. So it's a fairly complex thing, but it's not getting the kind of priority that it should get, because at the end of the day, that is what states and governments have to do: protect people's lives, their right to life. And remember, Pakistan's Supreme Court, like many other courts across the globe, in Latin America, in the Western world, have said that environmental pollution or degradation is a threat to the right to life, which is guaranteed not only by national constitution but also the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other treaties that Pakistan and most countries of the world are signatories to. And now Pakistan is moving towards a general election. In February, they are due to be held. And air quality concerns, unfortunately, are not on political parties' agenda. We really see a political party or politicians talking about this major issue. Instead, they are worried more about power mongering and the chess games that happen, etc., etc. uh, you know uh, this is something that ought to be a priority for both Pakistan's elites, Pakistan's governments, its civil society, but also the international donors that work in Pakistan and provide assistance to the government of Punjab province and the federal government in Pakistan. And I think it is time that there ought to be some synergy on this issue. And that is why it is important to talk about it again and again, because until you don't really get this message out, how is any change going to occur? So I think it's something that we should be taking very seriously. Those insight, and remember that because we live in a era where global factors are impacting our climate, where local solutions can only go this far. So Pakistan also has to get in contact with India, its neighboring country, which is a hostile quote unquote enemy, and find a solution and way forward whereby both the countries can work. Both in terms of addressing climate change, preparing for it, adapting their systems, their ecologies for it, but also addressing this urgent issue of air quality. And I think I've said enough on this. I'll be back with another topic for you. Thank you, and please do share this video. It's a public service message.